Good morning, all. Happy blood and beans, you mothers. No, really, like Happy Mother's Day. But everybody's having a decent start to their Mother's Day. Starting blood and beans a little bit early, so I'm going to be ending it a little bit early. It's also going to be a little bit shorter. So we did blood and beans at 11:15 today. We're going to run till noon, and then I'm going to end it there. So it'll be a 45-minute long episode today. But I want to get going. I have some things I would like to do with my wife, who is the best mother in the entire world. And I also got to call my mother as well. But really, though, in all seriousness, my wife does like non-stop incredible things, motherly things and wife-like things, and she deserves a day. Good morning, Emily. How are you? Good morning, Pimp Demon. How are you? I mean, it's one of the things I love about Sunday, too. Blood and beans, lo-fi. It's just chill. There's no pressure. There's no metrics to hit. There's no topics to cover. It's just chill. For what? You're empty, sorry. Nice. And scooch myself a little bit closer. Good morning, Lilith, and happy Mother's Day to your family as well. Again, I am always never sure exactly who this applies to or who it should apply to, so it is a broad statement. Happy birthday to all of you mothers out there, and happy birthday to all of you, or happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there, and happy Mother's Day to all of you who have mothers out there. I did just wake up, like 10 minutes ago, so my brain is still rebooting. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we all had mothers at some point. I mean, not me, I was built, but I wasn't born, I was built. I mean, honestly, rants are never out of the question, but like I said, I just woke up like 10 minutes ago. I'm not even feeling ranty at this point. I am feeling coffee. I am taking Pockets in Shiloh when I go get her from her friend's house. I'm going to take them to Tulip Festival, which is the park in Albany, the capital of New York City. Yeah, Washington Park. They've got, basically they do up the entire park with every kind of tulip, every color tulip that you can think of.
One even smells like almonds this year.
There's over 10,000 different species of tulip being presented at the Tulip Festival.
Tulips by the bloom.
And there's over 1 million tulips of those 10 million species. So I mean, it's the whole park is obviously it's full of gardens, and the gardens are literally so full of tulips, like you can't see anything in the garden but tulips. It's actually really pretty. So and it's a beautiful day outside today. It's a beautiful day for a walk. So I like this plan. Blood and beans, 45-minute blood and beans is gonna be just enough time to wake up. Nicotine's a huge must for today. I'm a robot. Yeah, I am a robot. I was created. I have no mother. I was built.
I heard the whole story about the apple orchard.
Very funny. If we want to provide commentary, you'll have to pull up the chat.
You sure they can hear me just fine?
Not really. We can play it back when it's done, but you really can't.
Okay.
I try. I'm like, I am the narrator. Hasta la vista, story.
Oh God. Maybe I'll have enough to give him pre-roll.
That you do. I'll put it that way. You definitely do. Okay.
Give him that to me.
Don't smoke the whole pre-roll. We'll break it out.
Yeah, break it
Like
out.
a dime bag.
Yeah. And I'm breaking this up all.
Sorry, we are plotting.
Yeah,
Can I have a lighter?
I have two.
I just want one of them. Cool.
Take the one you bought. The other one you bought.
I knew we were gonna need one soon.
I can't help it if I smoke the resin. It takes a lot of.
I didn't
fluid.
say Terminator. I said the narrator.
Yep. In the Terminator.
I mean, I know Lilith said of the Terminator variety. So I'm not a T1000 or anything. I am the N1000.
He's the T1981.
I am the N1000, stronger, faster, more articulate.
Grammatically speaking.
Grammatically
I
speaking.
lost my freaking crystal. I'm thinking it's in the couch. I lost my dragon rings crystal. It's a Swarovski crystal. It's a sterling silver band. The crystal was set in a dragon claw, and now it's gone. $75 ring. That I got in a dragon egg. But
It's a 30-second delay. They just got the stronger, faster, more articulate. They are all laughing.
oh, I do like you. That would be busy. You gotta sit down.
It's actually pretty good. I think I'm actually going to tell that joke to Shiloh. Shiloh will get a kick out of that joke. The narrator.
I don't want to say I keep the floor really clean. But I haven't been able to do that in a while.
Do you have worms?
No. That should be
No.
really easy.
Well, you're dragging yourself around on the floor.
No, I was spinning myself around on
with
the
your
floor.
buttocks.
I was not dragging my ass across the carpet like the freaking dog.
Do you have worms?
No, my dog does.
This is what I mean by lack of filter.
What? Poor thing. Poor Eastwood.
Lack of filter.
He keeps throwing up. Come here. Come here.
Yes, he
I
needs
am-
medication. He is not thin. He is not losing his hair. His,
No,
his,
I can-
his feet are all done. His nails are clipped.
Oh,
This
yes.
dog
he
is.
had a mani-pedi. He looks so pretty.
This dog is primped and pampered.
Yes, and this he gets.
So
He
don't
doesn't even get dog
let-
cookies. He gets cookies from the cookie jar.
Anybody try and sell you anything different because you're getting sold a line of malarkey.
He's my emotional.
Hello, Manny.
support dog.
How are you? Good morning. Happy Blood and Beans and happy Mother's Day to your mother. And
And
GoldenEye was a
with
good
me?
movie. GoldenEye was a better game.
Oh God, Golden. Eastwood is my emotional support dog. That's how screwed up I am. Just want to let everybody know out there. No, I don't have a filter, and I'm sorry for that. I will try harder though. In later times.
Yeah, I don't get free days if there's construction. My boss would not allow it.
I thought you get Memorial Day off.
Wednesdays for construction.
Oh, Wednesdays.
For construction?
Yeah, no.
No.
He didn't even do that.
No, my boss is very much like Mr. Krabs. I love him. He's actually a really good guy. And he's honest, he's straightforward. He doesn't yell and scream.
No, which is nice.
That in itself
It's a big
is a
word.
nice change. He actually goes out of his way to make sure that he's approachable. He's serious. He's money oriented. And if I'm not doing my job, he will let me go. But he's not going to yell about it. Like he would just do it. So I actually kind of really appreciate that.
Yeah, but he's nice though. He'll take you aside and he'll talk to you. He won't ask you if you're retarded. He'll just talk to you like a normal human being.
And in Pocket's defense, I actually had a boss that did that once. It's not like she's just making things up and those words are falling out of her face. That was literally an old boss of mine.
That's literally what he said.
No, you got to understand the context of that. So, circling back to the T International, that job was a bag of dicks. I had not just gotten out of school for my master's degree. I'd actually had a master's degree for about 2 years, and I was going to school for my doctorate, and I could not land an office job for the life of me, and I ended up getting a job as a project coordinator for a national construction staffing company. Pocket's just counting in my ear, so it's a little distracting, so I gotta get back on my train of thought. But first 3 months were pretty good. He kind of left me alone. My first day of training, he gave me the book on the wrong thing and had me learning sales stuff, so I had no idea how that applied to my job, and I guess it really didn't because I was learning the wrong thing. I didn't get sent to training for a year because he thought training was worthless. So I did the job for a year with absolutely no training, at least no formal training. After about 3 months, that's the first time I heard him scream like an insane person, start screaming at one of the sales reps for something that really wasn't even all that big. And I remember standing outside the door to my office because he was using the phone in my office to do it. And I remember standing outside the door of my office with the administrator, Rachel, and I was just looking at her and I hope to God he never does that to me. And she just looked at me like, yeah, no, strap in because it's coming. That was the look I got. Very shortly after that, life at that job turned to absolute hell. I used to get screamed at for things like I'd hire people throughout the day and then I'd have to bring their applications to the table in the afternoon. And I'd have to go talk about the person with everybody at the table, my boss, all the sales reps, everybody, and kind of explain who they are, what they do, why I hired them, how much money they make. And I had to do this for every person I hired. And basically, I don't know if you guys ever had a teacher where you never could do anything right, so you always hated turning in homework. You dreaded it, right? You dreaded it. Oh, yeah, it was just like this. One time,
my first grade teacher.
One time, this guy, and even the sales reps came up to me, and they did this more than once, but this is one example that sticks out in my mind. I ended up going to the table with a guy who was looking for, work, right? General labor, some light skills. So I hired him at $18 an hour, and my boss went up one side of me at the meeting and down the other side, telling me how fucking stupid I am and I can't do my fucking job and I'm costing everybody fucking money because he would have hired him at 18. Now, I didn't hire this kid at 14. I didn't hire him at 25. I hired him at 18. He said he would have hired him at 17. So I was $1 off of what he would have hired without him around at all. And the kid wouldn't have taken 17 anyway. I'm actually pretty sure I offered him 17 and he said no. But despite that point, it's not like I was way off base here. And I've been doing this too now for a couple of years. And the reason I stuck to this job is because I looked for so long for an office job with my master's degree. But everybody wanted experience. I couldn't show experience. Nobody would take me. So getting a job as a construction staffing coordinator is a nice halfway stone. Still in construction, 1 foot in, but 1 foot is also in the office. And I knew I had to stick it out at this place for a long time because I needed that experience on my resume in order to find a different job. I was there for over 5 years. It was the only job where I dreaded Fridays. Every single week. And the reason this was is my boss said we were going to do our one-on-ones on Fridays. And the reason he chose Fridays, he said because the office is nice and quiet. What that really means is there's nobody around to hear what I'm going to do to you. Rachel didn't work Fridays. She was part-time, so she was off on Friday. So every morning when he came in, it was me and Rachel in the office, and him until the outside sales reps came in, except for Friday. Because Friday, Rachel's not there. So it would be me and him in the morning, just me and him, until the sales reps would come in. And he would pull me into his office, and he would go through everything in the system, everything, and point out every little thing I did wrong, would never mention anything I did right, would tell me how fucking stupid I am, how much money I'm costing Chris, and how much money I'm costing Mike, and how I can't fucking get it, and if I can't fucking get it, the next best job I'm ever going to get, best I could hope for, is assistant manager at Taco Bell. Which, by the way, anybody who is an assistant manager at Taco Bell, props to you. There is nothing wrong with that, but it is a pretty horrible thing to say. And I remember one day, now he would do this until 9:30, 10. I'd get in at 7, he'd get in at 8, 9:30, 10 o'clock, the sales reps would come in. So for 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half if I was lucky, I'd sit in his office and listen to him yell and scream and tell me how fucking stupid I am. One day, he came out of his office when the reps were there and asked me, he's like, are you fucking retarded? No, seriously, like, are you fucking retarded? Do you have some kind of brain thing that I don't know about? Like, you know, that's pretty fucking offensive, period. I still didn't say anything. I let him talk. I know, right? Just, I'm getting kicked around. I should have walked out the door. Everybody told me I should leave this place. I didn't. I kept my mouth shut, and I bit my tongue, and I bided my time because I needed the experience on my resume. And I remember the sales rep, Patrick, he was there for 9 months. He quit. He got up and he quit because of how Jason was talking to me. That's how bad it was at this place. It was abuse. It was very much a hostile work environment. And the only reason I stayed is because I needed that experience. After that, I did quit. I did leave after 5 years. I went to work for 6 months as a project manager for an electric vehicle charging station installation company. Honestly think I still did pretty good at that job. They just ended up letting me and a bunch of other people go, including the guy that hired me. They let him go too because of downsizing in the winter for construction. There's not a whole big need, and they're hiring up again for the same positions this year. I have a feeling those people that are getting hired this year are just going to get fired in November anyway. And they won't call it a temporary thing and whatnot for like insurance purposes. Kind of looked it up. But anyway, stopped working there. That really screwed up my life for a while. But now I work as an employment specialist, office services. So I hire bookkeepers and leasing agents and stuff like that. It's definitely a different kind of clientele, but boy, you'd be surprised how many people still just like walk off jobs and no call, no show to interviews. And like, you think more professional people wouldn't, but you're wrong. I have never played a Scarface game. I do like the movie, though. Well, I've been working for this place since February, and then the energy company, basically, that I worked for, charging station installation company I worked for, I started that last May. So if you and I met before last May, if you've been in the Discord for longer than a year, then yes, you met me while I was still working at that place. But no, I think it was more like, I think you've been on like the YouTube channel and stuff like that. Here, I think you've been to like the premieres every once in a while, or I've seen you comment on videos. But I don't think you were in the Discord, and the Discord is really the only place where I talk about that kind of stuff. Or unless it's, you know, blood and beans, because I love blood and beans.
Our wonderful child, this has nothing to do with this, that, but, you know, since this is the stream about nothing, our awesome child got inducted to the Honor Society.
Oh, yeah. They don't know.
She has an official pin. a membership card.
Yes.
Signed by everybody in the principal.
Let me tell you all about our awesome
And
daughter.
hold on a minute. But right after that, the day after, she comes home with another certificate for being on honor roll up to all 3 quarters, and she got this beautiful, beautiful medal for being on honor roll.
Yeah, let me tell you something about my daughter.
I have a genius.
About the child, the chosen one.
And I am part of that too. I am part of that genius, which makes me so happy.
This kid, she gets... Oh, there's no more music. There's no more music. There's no more music. There we go.
We get music. I got Game of Thrones.
So... and I love the legendary years. It's a good choice. It's a good introduction, I think, Manny. It's that is literally the story that made Shiloh terrified of Mickey Mouse. She can watch any horror movie you bring her to, and she's terrified of Disney mascots.
She's terrified of my Grogu thing. It is Pram.
This child, she's on honor roll for all last year, and now so far all this year. It's been like 5-6 marking periods. Non-stop honor roll student. Non-stop straight A's. That's because of her gym teacher made her get merit roll. And I'm pretty sure they took that into account. And gym teacher's a douchebag. Got a freaking prodigy on his hands, and he's 75. You know, I'm lucky I don't pay a visit to that fucking school. This kid, like, she stays up super late. Sometimes she's up till 2 o'clock in the morning. 4 on her Switch, can't sleep, whatever, for whatever reason. This kid will get up and go to school exhausted, and we're like, you need to get more sleep and this and that. Obviously, it's not that I'm a bad parent. She's telling her, you need to get to sleep. You need to put that down, and you need to go to sleep every night when I go to bed. Hey, put away your stuff and go to sleep. Okay, all right, good night. She sneaks it and stays up all night. Sometimes there's pushback with chores. Sometimes she doesn't pick up her bedroom. But you know what? This kid's doing exactly what I told her to. I told her that she needs to do all those things. But beyond all that, make sure your grades stay top grades. Keep them, because that eventually is what's going to get you into a good school for college, and that is going to help you get a good job. I've never been able to yell at this child for staying up late. I've never been able to take her phone away. I've never been able to take her Switch away, because she remains an honor roll student. Maybe that's her process. Maybe that's what she needs to do in order to get straight A's. I don't want to step in on that process. I'll still, remind her, hey, you should get some sleep, and hey, you should put that away. There's some nights now where she'll actually hand me her Switch, or she'll hand me her phone and be like, you just take this. She got a letter saying, it's right here in front of me. Confidential. Please do not share this information with your son/daughter. Tapping will occur at about 1:45 p.m. on Tuesday, May 9th. So we got a letter saying that she was being inducted into the National Junior Honor Society, and we could not tell her about it. She wakes up this past Tuesday and says, can I stay home from school? And I had to tell her, no. And I felt so bad. This kid never asks to stay home from school. Ever. Well, and she's a straight A student. When I told her no, the look on her face was like, what? Why? Like she just completely expected me to be okay with it, because any other day I would have been okay with it. And I was like, no, today you have to go to school. Just trust me, you have to go to school. But I really, just trust me, today you have to go to school. This is the day that you don't want to miss. This is, and push her to go to school, but not explain to her why. And then at 1:45, she said she came home. She gave me a piece of paper and said, I joined a cult. This is my candle.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because I guess the high schooler came over and
she greets me first, because obviously he's at work. And she didn't even say hi.
She says, I joined a cult.
She just comes in, Shows me this candle, looks down, and she goes, I joined a cult.
Because she's
I'm like, what?
sitting in class, and they came in all discreetly, and they were like, then when they opened the door, they're like, come with us to light the candle of knowledge, or something like that. Yeah. And Shiloh had to like, what? And get up and walk out of class and go with this older person who handed her a lit candle, and all the other kids had lit candles too. And she said there was like 20 children all walking into the gymnasium with fire. They all
She's like, they must have known that they were the most responsible because they didn't burn down
That's
the
what I said.
And after I went into the middle school, they had a shitload of artwork, across the entire freaking wall. So she's right.
Yeah, they did.
Because, it's construction paper, people. These kids draw on construction paper.
They had this whole big ceremony that
Very
night
flammable.
that she didn't know about. We did, but she didn't know about it. They had this whole big ceremony. And we got to, go up, and it's hard, man. And I didn't even realize, like, when she got that letter from the school, she got a letter saying she was being considered. And she had to write an essay on 3 characteristics that an honors society student should... No, it's an essay. It's a short essay. Of the 3 characteristics an honor society student should uphold, how they apply to work, or to school, and how they apply to home. And she had to do that in a paragraph. The space that they gave her to write this essay was the size of a paragraph. That kid worked on that paragraph essay all day on a Sunday, on her day off from school. After all the work she'd already put in, here's your reward, more work. This kid put in the work, spent all day, went to school the next day, thought she forgot it and freaked out, but the guy wasn't there to collect it. Came home, found out it was in her backpack the whole time.
Back of her folder.
And so she went to school the following day and got it turned in. And
she felt silly.
Beyond that, I didn't know this, but first they go to the records to see what their grade point average is. That's phase 1. People that have had a high enough grade point average consistently are considered. Then they see their records to see if they've gotten any detentions, any in-school suspensions, anything like that. And if they have a clean record, then
disciplinary.
They move on to phase.
Or anything.
Move on to phase. Then they pass phase 2. Phase 3 is the letter that she wrote. That's the 3rd letter. Phase 4 is
a teacher had to evaluate.
A teacher had to evaluate it. Phase 5, it had to be evaluated for punctuation, and if it covered everything. Then phase 5 was they needed 3 faculty recommendations per child. Per child needed recommendations from the faculty. Then all their paperwork went to the board, the school board, and the school board made the final decision on who gets. This kid passed 6 phases of selection.
Yeah, I bet you that she had.
I could not be more proud of our daughter. I couldn't. It's pretty cool to be able to say I look up to my child. She upholds values and standards that it took me going through college to adopt. Couldn't be more proud of Shiloh. So I know I've spent some time talking about this topic, about 12 minutes total.
I opened up the letter and I cried when I read it out loud. I'm like, my baby's going to be inducted to the Honor Society. I was so happy.
Yeah, it would depend on which book. So possibly Pimp Demon. You might have been there long enough to hear some of my old work rants. Sorry, I'm going back and I'm reading some of the chat now. Poltergeist, oh my god, that movie's so bad. Falling Down is absolutely fucking fantastic. Die Hard with a Vengeance, yes. Heat, no. Boys in the Hood, no. Goodfellas, yes. Terminator 2, obviously. And Speed, obviously. Speed was okay. Terminator 2 is one of those gold standard movies.
That's why you felt the rubbing on you.
Alright, I'm back. Anyways, talking about Terminator 2. Long story short, I know I cut most of that off. I made Shiloh. I didn't make her, so we're going to watch Terminator 2. So I got snacks and sodas, and...
I wasn't against it.
Yeah, got snacks, got sodas, and we went in the back, and I put Terminator 2 on VHS on the CRT TV in the game room, and we all sat around and watched Terminator 2 old school style, with Shiloh sitting on the game room floor, and she without having seen Terminator 1, without having to know anything about the Terminator movies, and Shiloh not even being into like sci-fi like much at all beyond Star Wars, she absolutely fucking loved. Oregon. Jesus Christ, man. I don't know what's up with this cord.
I told you I didn't touch it.
Yeah, I know you didn't touch it.
The microphone cord is not a happy cord.
Sometimes it works great, sometimes it gives me issues. So, I don't know.
It has a temperament.
Anyways, apologize for those audio
Hiccups.
technical difficulties.
Oh, there's my other pistol.
Yeah, I'm back. Blue Snowball. I use a blue Snowball, not a blue Yeti. Actually, I'm going to need another one here soon, because I used one for like 6 years, and that eventually crapped out on me. But I was lucky enough to have a spare. So now I use my spare Snowball. But I know I don't have a spare, so that's something I have to work on.
I can do 190 surveys and get you a new mic for free.
It would depend. I think you tried to do that once, and the mic you got me was...
Oh, yeah. You didn't like it.
It was worse than like a cell phone microphone.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. No, I would have to get a Snowball.
It was
They're not expensive. As far as Snowballs go, like I could get a Snowball online. I could buy one for like $30. They're not expensive. They're a really, really good professional grade microphone that it doesn't have a professional grade price. Hello, Somber. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day to your mother.
The 191, it has this filter thing over the front. It looks like a circle. And then it has this little mic in the back of it. That's for the 190 survey.
Yeah, I need to get another spare. I like the snowballs, and I've always thought about, should I do my, like, I've been narrating now for 10 years. Maybe I should invest in, like, a Yeti, spend a couple $100 and get a real good microphone. But I honestly just don't see the point. The snowball is very much comparable to a Yeti. It is a really good microphone, and it's like 1/5 the price. I just can't. Even if I have the money, I can't justify it to myself to go out and get a microphone that's that expensive, because I don't need one that expensive. Not for what I do. I mean, Die Hard with a Vengeance is okay. It's a sequel. It was a good sequel to the first Die Hard, I suppose, because, it was alright, though. It wasn't my favorite Die Hard movie. It was funny. Falling Down is fucking great. Falling Down is me coming home from work. I very much love that movie. I love that movie. It's a very good movie. And if you guys haven't seen Falling Down, I highly, highly recommend you watch it. It's basically about a guy who works in an office, and he's stuck in a traffic jam on his way home, and his wife has been cheating on him and left him, and the office is normal, like a day at the office, super stressful, and it's hot outside, and people can't fucking drive, and the guy snaps. He gets up, gets out of his car, and leaves his car sitting in the fucking road and walks off. And that's how the movie starts. Then he goes and gets a gun. Then he starts walking and making visits to people. It's a really good movie, and I do very much recommend that you watch it. It's good. I mean, why don't you have the Friday the 13th movies physically just to have them? You should always have Friday the 13th on hand. I have two copies of the box sets for DVDs, so I have 1 through 8 on DVD twice over, just with the box sets. Then I have Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy vs. Jason, and Jason X on DVD, single. I have the remake. It's a bootleg version, so you can hear all the people in the theater clapping and shit. I actually kind of like that. I have the first Friday the 13th uncut, so the uncut version of Friday the 13th on DVD. I have 2 single copies of Friday the 13th Part 3 on DVD. I have the His Name Was Jason documentary on DVD, and I have the all 13 movies, 12 movies in the 13th disc of Crystal Lake Memoirs on Blu-ray, in a Blu-ray box set. And then I also have a bunch of them on VHS. I have all of them recorded on VHS. I have an actual store-bought version of Freddy vs. Jason. I have a store-bought version of Jason X. I have Friday the 13th physical copies many times over. Yeah, Somber's not a fan, which is a very high point of contention for me. That just goes to show how much that I love Somber like family. How much of a brother he is. Because he can flat out tell me that he doesn't like Friday the 13th. He finds it boring and it makes him fall asleep. And I'm still his friend. I still think that there is maybe some movies that he would find less boring than others. He did seem to like the first one or two, or maybe even the third one. I don't think he could get through the third one, though. I think he kept falling asleep. So, I think he would like some of the later ones with Zombie Jason, but then again, he watched Friday the 13th Part 7 at Camp Crystal Lake, at Locust Lake, with me last summer, and I believe he was falling asleep through that too. So, he just might not be, Somber's not a huge fan of slashers, as far as horror goes. Somber likes cosmic horror. Somber likes Lovecraft. I don't think I've ever really interacted with Unit 522. Like, I've had, I think, one or two conversations with him at some point, but I've never really had I can't even say I've had, I haven't had much I've had way more interaction with, Swamp Dweller and, Black-Eyed, Beauty and, a whole bunch of others, I Spooky Boo Rhodes, I interact with pretty often. But Unit 522, I think I've spoken to him once. I think. See, that's another point of contention for me as well. Friday the 13th is alright, Locust Lake is better. How do I feel about that? That literally causes a schism in my personality. I can't grapple with that concept. Because one part of me is how dare you like anything over Friday the 13th? You're wrong. Friday the 13th is the best thing ever made horror-wise, ever. And then the other half of me is but he chose Locust Lake, and you created Locust Lake. You can't be mad at somebody for liking what you've created or helped create, because Doughboy and I have helped create it. But I can't reconcile that concept. I've got nothing to say. I can't reconcile it. Yeah, I'm a huge slasher fan. Somber likes psychological horror, stuff like that. I have showed him a few movies that he did very much enjoy. Rare Exports, Christmas Horror Story, Shaun of the Dead. I think he really liked that. Demon Knight, Somber said that was pretty good. He got all the way through it. He liked it enough to watch the entire movie. Yep, I agree, Emily. And I don't think anybody but me and Doughboy have actually been able to completely, emulate Lovecraft's work to a way that's up to par, except for me and Doughboy. Sorry, I just thought that'd be funny. Lovecraft is my mentor. And somebody commented that the other day. Let me see if I can find that comment. I know exactly what comment it is. And I'm going to actually shout this out on Blood and Beans. Because it should be. Very much along those lines. It was for my video, Quick Sands of Time. Content. Where is the Sands of Time? Comments. No, this is one I responded to. So Winston Wins stopped in 11 days ago and commented on Quick Sands of Times, written by that mysterious L.W. Sutton guy. And he said, I like these old school Lovecraftian Ashton Smith-esque stories. And I'm pretty sure he didn't know that L.W. Sutton is me. So I kind of took that as a really big compliment. That's huge to me. And I did respond back, thank you very much. I'm the one that wrote this story, so I take that, as a very big compliment. But I do try. Not all the time. Not with every story, obviously. There are certain stories that I do try to capture a very Lovecraftian feel. I'm a really big fan of the Dreamscape series. I think Doughboy did a fantastic job with the first two, setting it up. And then my third one, that third series took me 9 months to write 4 stories. To write 4 stories took me 9 months. I very meticulously tried to emulate the way that Lovecraft would go about things, not just the way that he wrote things, just how he would introduce concepts. And I tried to go one step further and actually describe things, even that were not describable. I tried, and then when I failed to describe them, I would say, and thus were utterly indescribable. I think that was always like the one thing about Lovecraft that was his biggest weak point, is that he described things that he saw in his mind that he had no words for description. So instead of trying, because, trying to describe a monster with 100 tentacles all sticking out in random body, trunk locations and X amount of eyes and teeth, in certain sets of patterns, would take a very long time, would take a good page or two to really fully describe what you're trying to describe, if you could even accomplish it at all. And I just feel him saying it was totally indescribable. It's such a cop-out. Try to describe it. Because there's been a lot of times where I've gone through Lovecraft's work. I've listened to the Necronomicon now about 3 times. At the Mountains of Madness is one of my favorite stories. The Whisper in the Darkness is my favorite story. And there's a lot of times where these Lovecraft stories were I totally end up missing the monster. When it's introduced, I miss the whole, this is what happened, and this is the monster that was there, and why, and this is the end of the story, because. And it's wait, what monster? There was a monster? There was a thing? Where? Where was it? I didn't hear anything, and then I'll go back and listen or read again, and it was utterly indescribable. Wait, that's the monster? No, I need more than that. You end up, the reader misses the whole beat if you put in no descriptions at all. Emulating Lovecraft is draining unless it's fueled. When I wrote the last series, Dreamscape Series 3, when I wrote that, I was watching a lot of Lovecraft movies. I think I also was finishing up the Necronomicon for the second time. So a lot of that verbosity, not verbosity, potato.
Oh my god.
Was kind of already there. Just I didn't have to think about it. There was no effort put into it. I was because I was so immersed in his work, it came almost natural to start writing like that, thinking like that. Quicksands of Time, I don't know. That I started that as I wanted to write one of those really cool interesting Egyptian stories that I've heard other people write before, 1 or 2 I've heard, and it just wasn't turning out the way I wanted. And instead, and I think it was actually I think I wrote that, if I'm not mistaken, when I very first listened to Lovecraft's Necronomicon. And that's probably why it came out a very Lovecraftian-esque story, is because I was currently listening to Lovecraft, and that kind of vocabulary and the syntax was already there, just kind of naturally. I played Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 2 is my favorite Mortal Kombat game. I have Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. I've played 3. And that's about it. I'm not a big fan of anything beyond 3. Mortal Kombat 11 was okay because they paid a lot of homage to 2. I thought that was fucking awesome. So I like Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 11. And that be it. It is a little bit dissimilar, and that's why, like, if you notice my writing, like, even the ones that are Lovecraftian-esque, they're not written exactly with Lovecraft's syntax and style. It's almost like it's blended with my own. Like, I do have my very own style of sentence syntax and certain vocabulary words that I will dive into and use for my my repertoire. But it's almost like Lovecraft bleeds into it, and it becomes a mix of Lovecraftian ways of forming sentences, words, and ideas, and my own. And that's perfect for me. I don't ever want to go beyond that. I would never try and push it beyond that. I wouldn't want to write exactly like Lovecraft, but I would like to write in a way where that if he were alive, he would enjoy my work. He is my mentor. That is the person that I have always looked up to because he's gone beyond the horror genre into literature. Lovecraft is taught in colleges. Yep. Man, if I could... And what gives me hope is everyone's like, well, you have books out, right? Yeah. I'm not a best-selling author. Oh, someday you will be. I don't ever want to be. I never want to be like a New York bestseller or whatever. I don't. Lovecraft was not popular when he was alive and writing. No, hardly anybody read his work. Hardly nobody knew who he was. When he died, about 50 to 75 years, I can't remember what it was, but it was a time. It was a time, big span of time, before his work was discovered again by someone. And it broke the mold. Everybody went nuts over it. And how great it was written, how reflective it was at the time, and all this other stuff. And it became literature. New York bestsellers are famous for a week. Yes, they're famous while they're alive, but they're famous for a week. People who become famous for life, forever, for all time, they'll never see it. True genius is underappreciated until it's gone. I don't want to be a New York bestseller. I would very much like for me to die. The people, not now obviously, the people that know me, I would like them to tell people about who I was, about the stories that I wrote, about the enjoyment that they got out of them, if any. I'd like that to be a talking point. I'd like people like, oh, this guy wrote stories and now he's passed on. And before you know it, it generates a buzz. And now people are looking at the books that I have published. Now people are interested. Well, let's see what this guy left behind. And who knows? Maybe some of my work someday in 75 years will be reflective of the time period in which it was written.
They're watching me. Mm-hmm. I came out and they heard your voice and they said, Kitty.
The kittens. Yeah, kittens. Little fluff balls. Alright. See, you can still keep it vague, draw incomplete comparisons, and say just can't be explained. Agreed. But you can't just say, it's indescribable. It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. It means you don't want to write the words to try. Just write them. Yeah, I know he did. I don't know when he was born, though, but I do know he died in 37. But he wasn't popular in 1937. He wasn't like a bestseller or anything like that. His work didn't become popular for years until after he died. And that's typically the truth with, like, everybody. Michelangelo, Picasso, Da Vinci, same thing. They weren't famous while they were alive. They didn't become famous until after they died. Then they became historical figures. And I'm completely 100% on board for this. Plus, I'm leaving my work to my daughter. my very last book I'm going to write is going to be my autobiography, because I feel that I have had a life story that is worth telling. I have had some experiences, and anybody who's ever sat around a campfire or even around their computer speakers and just listened to me tell a story about something that's happened to me in my past will know that I have stories for years. I have stories that I can keep telling stories, and you won't hear the same one for years to come. So, I will be writing an autobiography, and I will write it up until the last couple of chapters. I'll probably write it right up to retirement and my thoughts while fishing on a lake. I pretty much have my final chapter figured out, where I want to be, the road I'm on, and where I want to end up. When I'm gone, I'm going to give the book to Shiloh, and Shiloh is going to write the last few chapters of the last bit of my life for me. Since I probably won't get a chance to write my own death scene, I'll have Shiloh write it. And then I'm going to have Shiloh publish that book. And she's going to get the rights to all the books that I've published as well. So while that buzz is being created, I'm gone, used to write stories, all these books published. Now there's a buzz being created, and then like a month or so later, there's a book, my autobiography, finished and published by my daughter. If that is not the perfect signature to a swan song, I really am not sure what is. That's the plan I have, and beyond that, I still have a lot of life to live, including going to pick up my child at her friend's house and getting my wife and my daughter up to Tulip Festival in Albany. So on that note, I do have to take off. Thank you very much. 1880 is when he was born. I appreciate you telling me that. Now I know. We should add Shiloh to the Omnis Project. I will talk to her about that. And, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can't wait to read it. It will be a very interesting read. That I can promise you. I have led a very, very, very interesting life. Love you guys. Thank you so much for stopping in today, listening to me babble on and rant and whatnot. Gamma, happy Sunday. Oh, I guess I did not see you come in, and I apologize for that. Happy Sunday, and happy Mother's Day to your mother. And happy Mother's Day to any mothers out there that might end up listening to this as well. Happy Mother's Day to all. Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me babble on and sip coffee and talk about random shit. This weekend, we're doing 10 Shots In. So come prepared this Saturday with a thirst, because it's the 10 Shots In reboot. Love that story. Hey, Callie. It was nice seeing you as well. I'm glad you were able to stop in. Happy Mother's Day, if it applies, and happy Mother's Day to your mother as well. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Please be safe out there. Enjoy your day. Relax, and I'll catch you again next weekend. Peace out.
Oh, really?
Dog.